in this Clan War series, Angry versus Dark Cell on Shattered Temple.
Yeah, the way the clan war works here is a best of 7. When you do lose, your teammate loses, you have to throw another player in there, and the winner actually gets a veto. We use the MLG map pool, so Dark Cell vetoing Xel'Naga, which is possibly a little bit Terran favored in TVZ, and Angry then picking Shattered Temple, so we'll see whether Angry has a certain strategy in mind here, as he is spawning as the red Terran in the southern position, once again close by air, Quantic Gaming Dark Cell spawning as the orange Zerg in the western position.
So Zerg versus Terran once more. The Overlord choosing a not so direct route into his opponent's base. What I assume that he's going to try to do is he's going to try to check for the mineral glow by making a round with this Overlord. Dark Cell will be a little bit delayed in trying to find his opponent, but he doesn't have to worry about Angry really coming across it unless Angry takes a very unusual scouting pattern with that one particular SCV. It looks like Angry will be building a supply depot on his front door, as all good Terran players do when fighting against a Zerg, to make sure that there are no run-bys.
Yeah, Dark Cell being very wide with this Overlord, and we saw in the last game he tried the same thing, but Murder was on top of it. He sent that SCV out at a nice angle. He saw that Overlord and immediately knew the position. It looks like Angry is sending out his next SCV. It's going to try to scout here, but I do not believe that he's going to be seeing that. So we will have to send out another SCV to try to get the position of Dark Cell or check out his build order, possibly assuming cross positions here, when in fact it is close by air, and Dark Cell is going to be able to get in position with this Overlord, and he's going to be able to see the saturation on the base as well as gas timing here for Angry.
Yeah, this is just one of the benefits of Shattered Temple for Zerg now. Zerg able to just hide an Overlord in this position here, and until a flyer unit really comes by, there's not going to be much to really talk about. The Overlord can park itself here, try to get information on both gas and see if there is going to be double Rax play, as there in fact is going to be double Rax play coming in from Angry.
Yeah, and it looks like Dark Cell getting down the hatchery first, so feeling comfortable here with the positions, now getting up the spawning pool. So I think that was a 15 hatch, 14 pool, so not being very greedy, adding on another drone or two before that pool, being nice and safe at this point, and I think this build can definitely hold off the 2 racks that we'll see from Angry.
Yeah, 2 racks, most players do know how to fend off against it. Just drones and Zerglings are enough to do it. 1 additional spine crawler also does help a lot. And without that 3rd rack, you just don't have enough marine production in order to put down enough fire to take down those Zerglings before those Zerglings get into melee range. You can see that Angry, however, now still only running... only currently getting minerals and not getting any gas right now, as Dark Cell just doing another quick flyby, trying to check for gas and doesn't see gas yet, as we may be getting in the command center in just a moment.
Yeah, we'll see whether Angry is able to get down a nice bunker here. That's basically the one, I would say the one variable that a 2 racks can bring you is good bunker position and play. If the Zerg player does not pull off enough drones, they can take a lot of drone damage, and it looks like Angry pulling back with this SCV may not be very aggressive here. It looks like he's waiting for 5 Marines, now pushing out. He's got a 6th and 7th on the way, and we'll see whether this SCV is able to place down a bunker. Already Zergling, 6 of them coming out, hoping to chase down the 1 SCV that Angry does have.
Yeah, the SCV setting up a little bit of a trap there by keeping the SCV in the center portion of the map, not allowing the activation of the Xel'Naga Watchtower. The Marines were able to come over, and the Zerglings looking to perhaps do a bit of a flank. So there are going to be Zerglings from the back, as there is a spine crawler and now a Queen trying to get in position. And with that spine crawler there, I can't imagine that Angry is going to get any real damage or be able to set up a bunker at all. The Marines may simply try to run up that ramp, but there's going to be Queens on one side and Zerglings on another, as the SCV gets into position as well. The Marines doing a little bit of a dance back and forth. The poor SCV getting destroyed there, as the command center is now being built by Angry.
So Angry uses those 2 racks, doesn't really lose much as he kept all those Marines alive, lost his 1 scouting SCV, and that happens, but he's able to get up a command center, so using more of an economical build here, he is just actually not getting up any gas. So just now, Dark Cell, the first player to blink and take an extractor, so he will have up his gas shortly. I imagine once again he will be going for that metabolic boost once he does hit 100 gas, but once again focusing on his economy. Both players playing very economical at the moment, and I imagine they will just be creating drones and SCVs for the next few minutes.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Dark Cell is going to get a very strong advantage. We've seen Dark Cell macro play, especially in the last game against Murder, and his macro play was really just spot on, able to produce a lot of units. We may see a macro hatch coming out from Dark Cell as well if he tries to go for that same Zergling Baneling Mutalisk strategy, where you don't really have enough larva to train up all of your units, since Zerglings are very, very cheap. And as once his macro gets going, I think it's going to be very difficult to stop. This may just be a replay of the last game, as we now see Angry going into 4 racks build and now going for a 3rd command center as well. But I believe, was the Overlord actually taken down? I believe so. So the Overlord no longer hiding along the south edge here, and now Angry taking the time to set up an expansion.
Yeah, a little bit of a twist on Dark Cell's build. He's not going to get out that 3rd and 4th queen. Really going to hurt him creep spread here. He has yet to place down a tumor on the low ground. He's got one on the high ground, doing what all good Zerg players should do, connecting the main and the natural. But without the 3rd and 4th queen, it's going to be difficult for him to spread creep, and it's a pretty long rush distance by ground. He has yet to add on any more gas, now just running off of 2. So he's got Zergling speed about halfway done. I imagine we will see Lair Tech shortly as well. Instead of the 3rd and 4th queen, getting down a 2nd spine crawler, repositioning those, and Angry might be preparing his 3rd here, but he could possibly find a good timing here with these Marines. He has yet to get Stim, as he also has a late gas, finally adding on a tech lab to one of these barracks.
Yeah, that late tech lab, meaning that it's going to be another 3 minutes before we see Stim, and then probably another 5 minutes before we see a factory and starport for medevac. So I can't imagine that these Marines are really going to be able to deal that much damage. And Zergling quickly trying to do a quick scout there as the Marines almost done taking down these rocks. Upgrade to an orbital command, so it will be 3 bases compared to 3 bases at about the 10-minute mark. As now Angry getting another racks as well, so just getting up as many barracks as possible and going to be able to just train up a lot of units as a sea of Zerglings now running across the north side here and maybe trying to put some pressure on this back set of rocks.
Dark Cell might be going for a little bit of a bust here. He's got up some Banelings. They are defensive at this point, but he's also rallying a lot of Zerglings, and he might try to put some pressure on the front door of Angry. Once again, with that delayed gas, you know your Terran opponent does not have siege tech early, so you can do a lot of damage with just Lings and Banelings. He's got the level 1 melee attack on the way as well, so might try to pick a nice timing here. Lair Tech up and running, and that macro hatch. He has yet to take a 3rd, though. He cleared those rocks out of the gold, so we'll see when he decides to take that 3rd, as Angry pushing out a little bit with these Marines.
Yeah, Marines are on the move. The combat shield, the level 1 weapons upgrade, and Stim all very far from being completed. So if you wait about another 90 seconds or so, then this army would be very strong. But right now, it is just going to get a little bit eaten alive as the Marines are trying to perhaps clear down these back rocks and suspect that another hatchery is there, but there is in fact no hatchery as the gold minerals are gone. And this is quite a surprise. The Zergling's now going to run in and be able to run by, completely surround those Marines at the front door. This is going to be a problem. The SCVs need to fight back, but I don't see much of an army here, and this is going to be just an absolute slaughter here as the Zerglings are now going to try to take down this bunker. There are a couple Marines inside now as the supply depot also goes up as well, but the poor Marine's going to get eaten alive. And now all of these Marines over here by Angry looking for another expansion isn't going to be able to catch one and just being caught out of position once more.
Yeah, way out of position there. He has not scouted or even scanned up there, so not really sure why he had those Marines in that position. And now it looks like a lot of Banelings and Zerglings will be waiting for him once he does take down these rocks, as Angry going to be losing a few buildings here. Really needs to lift off the barracks at his natural as the rock's about to go down for Angry, and we'll see what kind of damage is done here by Angry as Stim and Combat Shield both finished. The level 1 upgrades almost about to finish, and Dark Cell having to pull back to creep, wants to fight on creep here with these Banelings.
Yeah, Banelings are now trying to do a decent spread there, but the Marines, so many Banelings as the Marines are trying to stim back, unable to do so. And yeah, Dark Cell just absolutely cleaning up that attack force there. You can see the army of Dark Cell about double in size at this stage. There is still a decent number of SCVs versus drones as the 4 or 5 o'clock expansion is still running right now, and that's the only saving grace right now as Dark Cell looking to do another bust.
Yeah, 3 bunkers being built right now. We'll see if those are able to be finished and filled before Darkcell chooses to push in here. He's got a lot of units rallied to the center of the map. He's got 98 Zerglings, 14 Banelings. Here they come. Baneling speed has finished. These bunkers will not finish. And Darkcell needs to get in here, needs to get a surround, needs to do damage to these Banelings. The Banelings doing huge damage. A lot of Marines going down here. The Zerglings getting a nice surround on the bunker. And it looks like once again, oh, Angry giving the GG as Darkcell was just wrecking that natural.
Yeah, Darkcell just played this game very well, and I'm just kind of curious as to why Angry went for that expansion over on the top left-hand side of the map. There was nothing there. Most of the time, a lot of Zerg players will try to get for that third base, but it was almost because Darkcell slowed down his macro play and changed it up just a little bit that Angry wasn't able to read what Darkcell was doing, and he was just playing in the dark for so long.
Yeah, I definitely question the decision to go right for that possible third, even without a scan. I mean, taking down the rocks is definitely a good idea. You want to open up that attack path and make the Zerg vulnerable, but when there's no base there, it feels like a really big risk to have those Marines without stim, without medevacs for transportation, all the way across the field when you're going against a pure Ling with speed and Baneling army, and Darkcell is able to read that and take advantage. Had those Lings in good position in the east there, so he saw the Marines push out north and knew he had an opportunity, a timing to attack.
Alright, so now stay tuned for Game 4. It will be Darkcell versus another member of vVvGaming, and I believe it's going to be another Terran unless time is brought up.